Welcome to Actually Controller, the podcast that is actually Controller, and we are actually in control of everything you are hearing right now. I'm so very sorry. I know you had your Sheets post going. I'm like,
yes.
What the hell are you doing back there?
So the group wanted to stop at McDonald's because the continental breakfast sucked.
And Chris is all like, no.
So I'm like, man, I want to go home.
We're going to Sheets.
So I'm like, you know what? We need gas.
Yeah.
Let's go to Sheets. They're like, well, I don't want to get gas station food. I was like, no.
You're right. We don't want gas station food either.
This is Sheets.
We're going
they
to
spent so much
Sheets.
time in there. I was almost mad at myself for suggesting it. I was like, come on, man.
They have
All
so
right.
many choices, though.
We are going to start with all of that. Welcome back to Actually Controller. You got Steve,
Chris.
It's Jeff. Oh, okay, there.
guys.
It's Chad.
It's Bob.
Hey, we're all here, so
There we
Yeah,
go.
just
there
figure
we
it out.
go.
Everybody's
Today.
here.
We were talking about stuff.
If you've
before.
been listening by now, you should be able to pick our voices out.
Hopefully.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We were informed that people are still learning the voices, but they're getting better at it.
You know how you fix that? You just come to a show. That's
Yes.
what you do.
Dang,
Ooh.
that's a good
They don't
idea.
want-
Or you subscribe to our Patreon.
Yeah, to Patreon. Then you can put the faces to the voice.
We got a tally. No.
Yep.
Are we supposed to use like our radio voice? Is that
So there.
Hey, welcome
everybody back to Actually Controller.
Sorry.
Yeah. So today we were kind of going back and forth about what a good topic should be, and
legitimately just before we started?
yeah,
recording?
and I think we kind of landed on
Spandex.
spandex.
Oh, no,
Remember, it is a right, not a choice.
we probably spent enough time just chit chatting. We could have just recorded that entire conversation.
Yeah,
did,
probably.
probably.
We were kind of leaning into the topic for today, kind of being what our primary musical influences have been.
Yeah.
What kind of spurred us to want to.
So what
Right,
made you
and-
want to be noisy while under the influence?
No.
No.
when you write and create, what
Oh,
is your
right.
influence?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Who do you?
yeah, not
try
what got
to-
you started was because we already talked about
Oh,
what
yeah,
got
that's
us
true.
into doing this.
That's true.
Was that
Yeah.
podcast 3? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember. I just remember that we did talk about it. I can't remember what number it was on. But
All right, so now we're just gonna rehash the episodes that we've already
Yeah.
posted.
We're now into highlight mode.
This is episode 20. We're gonna
Right. We're
stick
coming
around.
We're coming up on that. If I'm not mistaken, this is episode 18.
Dude,
One of these
do you
days, we're going to
consider it like an
release the
anniversary
blooper
episode?
reels.
No, because
Would
it
we
has
do
to
an
be,
anniversary episode?
we-
Like, that's our 20th podcast.
Yeah, we can.
it has to be
We can.
25.
We're going to have the hashtag
25.
retake
That's a good
blooper
point.
reel.
So we get cupcakes.
Silver.
on
Silver
our
anniversary, 25th.
You can ask Em if she wants to make cupcakes for you.
Ooh,
I shouldn't yell
cupcakes.
right now.
We'll plan
We're
something for the
recording.
25th.
Will you make us cupcakes?
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it.
But for me, I'll go ahead and start this off. For me, I've said this a few times, probably not here, but over the years, the guitarist I would probably say spurred me to want to write the way that I do. Because it's not like who do I like, who have I listened to over the years, but who kind of steered me to want to write the way that I do and the type of songs that I do would probably be Dino from Fear Factory.
I think you've mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The main reason for that was, and I was talking to Putt about this, and I kind of agree with them when I was in recording. He made the statement that he's like, in my opinion, Dino kind of created his own style
That's true.
in and amongst himself, where there are a lot of different guys who were, chugging along, and, were there other guys that were, kind of drop tuning and everything back in the day? Yeah, but he kind of grabbed a whole bunch of things that other people were doing little bits
He was
of.
real melodic in
Yeah.
the way that he would put his like stuff together. So it was he was trying to fill both roles of the rhythm and the melody a lot of the
Yeah,
time.
and I think that was what I
Rhythm and
appreciated was that
dance.
it was that he did that, but he didn't do it in the traditional guitarist sense of now I need to write a lead.
I mean,
now
yeah.
I need to write some solo to go
Yeah.
with this.
It
He
was whatever the song required. at the
he
time.
was quintessentially there to bring power to the song, bring a voice to the song. However it needed to get there. There was an occasional, this would serve well with a little solo here.
Yeah.
And it's not that he was against doing those. It was one of those, does it make sense? And if it does, then I'll write it. If it doesn't, I'm not going to do it just to, kind of try to flex.
Well, there's definitely, I've noticed writing with you now, that there's definitely an understanding that like you don't have to fill the song. Like there's times where you leave it open for everybody else to write in.
Yeah.
So while you've got that style, like you're not trying to just like, all right, there's some dead air, I'm going to put something here. Oh, I should do this and I should add this, and you keep it to a point where you can layer in the rest of the musicians that are in the group.
Because sometimes like the silence speaks mountains, where like the tone isn't required,
Well, and kind of to that aspect, I mean, I have always been the musician, regardless of what instrument I was on. If I'm writing a song, I'm not there for the position I'm, playing in that band at that moment. I'm there for the purpose of the song. And
you gotta serve the song.
Yeah, whatever tool I'm using, be it guitar, be it bass, whatever. That I'm just trying to make sure that the song, whatever it's requiring, be it guitar or bass or whatever other instrument, is getting the amount of that instrument put into the song.
So the next song, it is going to be required.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It is. What? What'd you do?
He forgot to turn the light on.
For the people that aren't,
They want to see you, but just so you know, Steve, the next song you have to play the kazoo.
Now they can see the acne.
I got one.
forehead.
Yeah, I mean,
Right now.
Patreon.
I can go ahead and do that while we're in the recording session
There you
right
go.
now.
He could probably play
That's
the
fair.
kazoo while he's playing.
Yeah. I'll get the EBO out and I'll end up building the
Put a
effect. Don't worry
distortion
about
on it. Put a distortion on the kazoo.
distorted kazoo.
Don't tempt Jeff.
I mean,
The band.
Yeah.
yeah, that was something. Mine?
Now his, yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
I still have a battery bar.
Something battery.
I think you probably have to hold it straight to your
You
mouth.
have to put it in
like
your
just
mouth.
like you're used to. There you go.
There you go.
I heard that loud.
Put it in your mouth just like you used to.
All right, so we're already a few minutes in. Who's next?
I mean, if I had to give like an influence and like the style that I write right now, it's kind of sporadic and all over the place. Like the original Punch and Push was something in between like the Guys in Skinny Puppy, the industrial movement of like the early 90s, 9 Inch Nails and stuff like that. But it also intermingled with like EDM and trap music that was up and coming. Like I really enjoy like the high fidelity low end that comes out of a lot of like trance and whatnot, and like trying to find a way to find that fun medium and still pepper in like the industrial influence is
And
kinda
also,
where I'm at.
you got to admit, you have a crap ton of very classical styling.
Well, so
Yeah. You're
those
very,
style.
you're
on
very
the
jazzy.
flip sides, because I'm super ADHD in that regard. I don't know, bipolar maybe, because it's like really ugly noise that makes me go, yeah, we're going to hell. Come on, let's go. And then other side that's like, if I were a good person, this is what I would sound like.
No, so many times at rehearsals, Jeff's like, "Hey, Chad, play me something pretty."
Yeah, well,
Yep.
I mean that's
directly followed by, as soon as you've done that, he'll look at me and go, "Oh, do you hear that? No, that hurts.
Yeah,
that's
dude.
ugly.
That's ugly.
Oh,
I
do you
want
hear
it.
that?
Let's
do you
do it
hear
again."
that?
It's the two extremes. I want to like visit heaven and like invite him down to hell for the barbecue. Like those are the. But like if I had to pick the other side of that influence, it would probably be something like Faith No More, because that's where the string influence actually kind of comes from.
Yeah, that's fair.
And like a lot of the notes that I'll jump to are something that feels reminiscent to that. So
And I could see even the jazzier type things that you have being a Faith No More type flair.
Because gonna take some evidence, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, but that's me. Now you.
Now me.
Yeah.
Now
go.
you.
Now
go.
you.
All right, so this is where it's like really difficult for me, because like you guys have influenced my writing,
Oh.
because the stylings that both of you pull and having to put something to it,
Yeah.
I can't go off of, well, I've got influenced by such and such band or bass player, because I got to fit you.
Because we're weird.
Sorry.
We're weird.
So you guys have become my biggest inspiration on when it comes to writing. It really has.
Shut the front door.
There you go.
It's the influences of what you guys have taken in and putting into it, and I'm more in the moment when I write. So
Yes.
it's like, this is what you're doing. okay, I'm going to play to this. And even when I'm alone and messing around with different riffs, I'm not thinking of somebody else's stuff. I'm listening to a lot of my older stuff, and it's really weird.
So Chad's influence is Chad.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's like, when I go to write, I just listen to myself.
I listen to myself. But no,
so there was this one riff that was amazing, and nobody's ever done anything that's ever come close. I found out it was from me.
But there are bassists that I do like listening to that I would love to reach their caliber of play. I mean, John Mayung is one amazing bass player that I would love to be able to even get a tenth of his talent.
Yeah, real.
Justin Chancellor.
And I will say, like, as much as we might inspire you, I would say I was going to bring up Justin Chancellor. I was glad that you brought that up because when you are just jamming out, like for Visions 3, for example.
Okay, yeah.
When you're just jamming out and we're writing to you, Justin Chancellor is already very evident in the riffs. Even when you have him look at you and go, play me something pretty.
Yeah,
you're leaning into those type of patterns.
Yeah, I do have a lot of the Tool-esque.
So Chad just got called out.
I
on
did.
his Chadness.
Chad wanted Chad to be the Chad influence,
but then I also have the influence of having a certain bounce that Deftones is what's going to be the big influence into that kind of movement. Deftones, Korn, those kind of bounce movements is exactly where I like to lean.
I don't know if we're shoegazy.
Oh no, we've leaned into shoegazy moments plenty of times before.
Okay, well that's cool.
I mean, I don't think we've ever done a full-blown shoegaze song because I don't think any of us would actually feel fully entertained by the time it was done. I think most of us be bored.
Stage shoes.
We do gaze at Steve's shoes.
Every photographer seems to shoegaze.
Those shoes are smart.
If you haven't been out to a live show, you need to.
Steve glows in the dark.
Well, only on my feet.
We'll make sure that he has them on for another podcast sometime. So subscribe to Patreon so you can see them.
Yep.
So
you're only going to see the shows if you're on Patreon
already.
Like, honestly, we only play live so we can see his shoes.
Yeah, we need to see those shoes on stage.
Yep.
Like, that's the only reason I even show up.
All right, so yeah, I do have Deftones, Korn, Tool, and you guys are all my greatest influences in writing.
And the biggest influence
is Chad.
My heart grew 10 times.
He was trying to be like, I love you guys. You all influence me.
And me.
But it's me.
And me.
If I really have to write something, it's me.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it is his fingers that are doing the thing.
Actually.
What
We went through all the hashtags.
This is why I love these guys.
All right. So.
Coming around to me. All right. So I play drums.
Yay.
Yay.
Way to beat that skin.
So when I was I probably really fell in love with drums when I was like 8, and I never got a drum set until I was about 13. So there was a lot of times where I was like...
Were you air drumming before?
No, man, I was like...
He was a
my dad would
drummer.
set up, like, there's... If digital media existed... I'm glad I didn't hear him. I have no idea what he said.
He said it. I didn't
So
say
in like 4 weeks, I'm going to listen to this podcast, and then I'm gonna figure out what he said.
He asked if you were a professional air drummer.
I'm sure that's not what he said.
That's what he said.
Exactly what he said.
No, that's every guitarist ever.
No,
every
you're missing
guitarist
full
wants to be-
context.
Oh, yeah. This is a story for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My God, I hate being the new guy.
I hate the bad part is I don't
got a
want to
wireless
drop
mic.
names on that one. That's
why I said we'll
upstairs.
share that later.
So anyway, there was I actually like makeshift drum set. I'd have like a box fan and an ashtray and like random
Pots and
stuff.
pan drum
I never
set.
did the pots and pans.
No? My kid pulled all of them out.
No, whatever
many
was
times.
randomly in the living room. So like, I mean, a TV tray and like a newspaper stand, like just random stuff. And I would play along. My dad was really big in classic rock, so like CCR and John Mellencamp.
Yep.
Really, John Mellencamp.
By the way, good.
I wish I saw him at least 10 years ago.
Was it at least not a waste of money?
No, it was great. I actually, I did
good.
enjoy myself. There was a lot of like nostalgia for me.
For
those who don't
context,
know,
you went to see John Cougar Mellencamp.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Mellencamp actually was one of my idols when I was a kid, and I literally own all of his albums up to like Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky. So that's like 93, 94. And I emulate him when I sing. So like karaoke-wise, I that's my catalog. Like I literally sing all of his songs.
I can see that. Yeah.
Anyway, people say I sound like him, but so we're sidetracked. It was a good time.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's getting to the point where like you had a good run, bro.
Right.
Like the band is supporting you right now. There was a lot of nostalgia, so you can tell. I feel like I was probably one of the younger people in the crowd. So
Probably.
like speaking to the nostalgia. So there's a lot of times you let the crowd sing. There was a couple cool moments. Not to give away his tour, but Jack and Diane starts with 2 verses, and the crowd tried to jump the second verse and do the chorus. So he stopped. And was like, "Hey guys, hold up!
Wait.
I've been doing this long enough." He's like, "Every song's structured differently, and this one just happens to go." But yeah, no, it was a good time. So where was that? So
you were drumming on boxes.
Just kind of messing around with those kind of classic rock stuff. Just no real education at this point.
Well,
so
yeah.
by the time I got to be 13, I was listening to John Mellencamp regularly, and the way I taught myself how to play drums was Nirvana's In Utero.
Hey,
Okay.
that's a good album.
Further Down the Spiral, Nine Inch Nails,
Oh, very good. Very
and
good.
Human Wheels by John Mellencamp. So I would put those on like this.
That's a nice
this
variety.
changer.
That is a
They were
that is
literally
a
the first
variety.
3 and only 3 CDs I ever owned until like 98 or something like that.
Yeah,
But
Weezer.
fast
Years before
forward
the
to like
CDs
when I
were
started to really
prevalent.
develop a style. What's the sidebar? Hold on. Hold up. What? You already made fun of me once. I'm going to stop.
No,
I
no,
said
no.
only 2 years before CDs started to stop being relevant.
Weezer was like my first CD.
Wait, I don't
No,
think
we
I'm
weren't making
that much
fun of you
older
with
than
the
this.
other thing either. There was there's a whole story we'll have to tell you afterward.
My gosh.
Yeah.
I
It's
get to
a
be.
thing.
I get let in on this.
We
secret,
gotcha.
guys. Yeah.
We got you, man. We love you.
After you know.
After you.
So about 96, 97 was when I finally started developing my style.
Yeah.
But it was emulated. If I had to say there was an influence, it was Scott Phillips of Creed.
Okay.
So if you really, and I still kind of carry some of that today, some of the hi-hat work that I do.
Yeah.
I do a little more than what he does, but he'll throw in random hi-hat openings, or I've gotten away from like a double crash, like a syncopated crash with a downbeat crash. I used to do that a lot, like and one or whatever. But that, and I guess a little early on Chad Smith, but not really.
I could see a little.
So Chad also influenced you?
Yeah, Chad.
A little bit of Dave Silvera of Korn. I got a little bit of everything, man. I'm really an amalgamation of like whatever I hear, whatever feels good, and whatever works with the music. 'Cause,
Yeah.
That's
as we talked about during writing, I don't write to Chad.
Yeah.
I
No.
write to the vocals and the guitar, and that's what I hear, and that's what I like to lift whenever I write. So that's a little different than what most 95% of the bands
Yeah.
actually do.
Well-
you talk about percussion, you talk about bass and
Yeah,
drums.
it's bass and drums.
Sorry,
We're
Chad.
supposed to be tight.
Ooh, baby.
Tight.
Ooh, baby.
But what ended up,
Yet they sit on
because you were at
opposite
least
ends.
able
Yeah.
to inform us that it was a tinnitus
Real
type
drum
situation to where you really weren't hearing Chad.
Yeah, it's not so much that he doesn't listen to me; it's he can't hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
He does not get inspiration
I don't
from
know.
Chad.
Yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
what happens. Like tinnitus is
I guess-
what happens when you're around loud.
No,
things
but I
all
can,
the
forget
time.
to where he
I can understand where he's
in a
reaching.
choir room.
37 bands like at any one given time.
No,
and he's playing
listen. If
shows,
you're in
like,
high school and
literally
you're in
every day.
choir and you're in band or anything, wear hearing protection because those choir rooms are brutal.
Yes.
I can give him credit for wanting to listen to the vocals to reach accent points, because all of us are doing a job of trying to lift up each other's parts and
Right.
Yes.
emphasize on what's going on, and that includes the
Everybody
vocals
lifts.
as well. It's like our writing process, when the vocals come in, we're like, okay, well, maybe I need to change up this little bit to help accent what the vocals doing, because that's really good. I like that there, but my part's kind of dead now, so let's see where
Yeah, I mean,
it's going.
I literally just did that last
Exactly.
night. I just wrote lead parts for 4 songs that I'm now going to be recording
I
tomorrow.
found this out just a minute ago.
But because you were able to share that so early on, though, it ended up giving Chad the opportunity of, okay, that's the direction Chris is going. He ended up altering certain strikes, certain things that he was doing.
Because I'll
to
say, then I'll
still
listen.
do
I'll
that
listen
job.
to
So
the
what you're
drums.
saying is, I influenced Chad?
Yes,
No,
you
he
do.
you forced his hand to still do the bass drum part, but backwards.
Yeah, I have to listen to the drums and go,
Should've given
oh, I
him
see where he's going
Oh,
there.
I should have.
You should've
I'll
just-
I'll redo my
Hey,
strike
y'all hear
pattern.
that? He actually listens
It's
to
yours,
the drums.
bud.
I'm just saying.
Well, that's a bass player's job is to listen to the
Good
drums
job.
and help keep time.
Proud of you.
The whole
Proud of
band,
you.
bud.
the whole band should do
Whole
that.
band. Whole band
Everybody.
should
We
listen
have
to the
like two
drums.
conversations going on. One
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's fine. They'll figure it out on Patreon.
Yeah.
7. For those of you not keeping track, no, I'm just. You're gonna have to go to our Facebook to figure that out. Somebody
Probably, yeah.
about our Patreon that you
Oh.
Yeah,
should
so
subscribe to.
when this goes up on the Facebook post, somebody please do a tally of how many times Patreon was stated
I mean, you have
in
to go
this
back about
episode.
15
In
minutes.
this
Yeah.
particular episode.
In this entire episode,
Okay.
how many times was Patreon stated?
Well, no,
And
no.
if
How many
You just
times
said it
do we
twice.
randomly encourage you to go see
Yeah,
it?
it's not
'Cause
just
we're
the
saying the word
stating.
Patreon just to say the word Patreon, so they mark down Patreon and they tally how many times we say Patreon, and then now they tally
wanna-
Patreon 5 times in my sentence.
this
we
is-
want to make sure that you're paying attention and knowing when we're saying you need to subscribe.
Subscribe.
So
Well,
are we
I w-
supposed to say Patreon pretty consistent?
No, it
like
was
that?
the.
I was going to make this a little bit of a contest type thing, actually, though.
To
With
see who says
Amongst us?
Patreon the most.
no,
How many
with
times
we just
whoever was the
repetitively
first
say?
person to actually give the correct number
Oh, hey.
of how many times Patreon was said in the
Oh,
Facebook
good Lord.
comments of this episode
The word
when it's
Patreon?
posted. Huh?
How many times did the word Patreon?
Yeah,
get
how
said?
many times was the word Patreon stated?
Was that twice?
Just the
right
word
there that you
Patreon.
said
Just the
No,
word
no,
Patreon.
It's actually now been
So it doesn't
said
matter how we use the
3
word
times,
Patreon.
Doesn't matter
because
how
I'm
we
about
use
to say
Patreon.
But the word
it here
Patreon.
in just
But the
a
word
moment.
Patreon,
But
whenever that's stated,
they need to understand.
out of ink
that-
yet?
Now
that
I'm
the
going to
word
see the
will be
title of
said.
this
All
whole
right.
video is
It's just
Patreon
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Potentially that,
One.
that what we are talking about needs to be counted. So I really hope that they are paying attention because the word that they are listening for is what?
Patreon.
Patreon.
Yes,
true.
yes.
now
Welcome to Sesame Street.
I will give you one real quick. That how each voice that stated Patreon right there in unison, each one of the voices counted as one. So to give you a little bit of an insight on that.
There was
Ooh.
9.
Now, that being said, whoever gets the number correct and the first person to post the correct number, I will send you a private link
I apologize if I was the cause of
To his OnlyFans.
to one of our brand new
Wow.
songs
Ooh, exclusive.
before it comes out.
What?
So they don't even have to go
So
to
here's,
the Patreon.
here's the flip side to this.
Because they get
For
early
this
access
one
on
song.
Patreon.
Hold on. Here's the flip side to this whole thing. During Steve's editing, he now has to count how many times.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
How many times the word Patreon gets mentioned because
Yeah,
he has to.
don't
have the
think
number.
that you're the only ones that are having to suffer through this now. I am as well
Patreon.
during the.
Patreon.
It's like, no, we're editing
Patreon.
that. There's like
Patreon.
7 of them.
Patreon.
Yeah. Guess who-
Keep him
Patreon.
honest.
Patreon.
Keep him honest.
That all just got edited out, Bob.
That whole thing, this whole episode's going to be edited down to like a 30-second clip.
30-second because he doesn't want to have to count
All
another
right.
Patreon.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's get back
But-
on track. Though.
yes.
Robert, what is your influence when you step behind the microphone?
So am I supposed to do like what Chris did and like start from the beginning sort of situation?
I mean,
or?
you
If
want
it changed,
to,
because mine
that's
changed.
like-
I mean, I
When
gave
I
an
started
origin
off, it was
story
classic
before.
rock.
Yeah, I mean,
My origin
I
story.
I don't think I was really here for the origin story. So
The orgy story?
what? I mean, there I have.
That's
He was
related.
part
That's
of
a
the orgy
different
story.
story.
That's for
Subscribing
Controller
to our-
After Dark, remember?
Yeah.
Hashtag.
That's a different that's a
Hashtag
different
Controller
podcast.
After Dark.
Yep.
Starting all kinds of fun
Anyways,
side
so-
projects.
That's a whole other level.
Yeah, it is.
On that platform that I won't say right now.
Yeah.
So basically, my singing started out really young, in church choir.
That's fine.
I was a soprano when I was little,
Nice.
so hitting those falsettos. Went in and I was the choir kid. So if you have judgments, you can kind of go.
No way, man.
Yeah,
Choir
go
kids
somewhere,
kick
yeah.
ass. I was a choir kid.
So did that. Teenage years, started getting into some of the greats. Like I was absolutely in love with The Cure. I love the style, the
Right
passion
on.
behind it, the lyrical content.
So you're into new wave.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I loved new wave. But
I still listen to
Yeah.
new wave when I'm getting in my retro moods.
dude, if
I mean,
The Cure
it's
comes
a
on, I'm
mood.
cranking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Duran Duran, Cure.
Absolutely. But as far as like inspiration, it's more lyrically now than it is anything. So it's a lot of stuff I read, a lot of stuff, different people throughout history. You'd be surprised if you just listen. 90% of the time, I'm the quiet one.
I'm just sitting there reading people.
And I'm just listening to everybody. If you listen to what people say, you'd be surprised how much they can impression on you and inspire you to write.
Weird.
Jeff's never understood that aspect.
No, I'm like vapid.
That's how that works?
I'm like literally vapid inside. No, I totally.
He
agree.
he listens back to himself. That's
it's a funny
Like
side.
that.
It's a funny sidebar. I actually did gospel choir in elementary school.
Oh, nice. I started, gospel choir. I was like 6 because I was the little kid that could be like, "Hi guys, how are you?"
I was in elementary school. It was like 4th, 5th grade, and I did gospel choir.
I was in choir, but then I got horn smuggled into being the sound man.
Smuggled?
No, hear me.
Horn
Horn smuggled for being the sound man for our
Word
jazz
of the day.
choir, and then after that, I got lollygaggered into doing a whole bunch of stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
We're doing this?
Are we saying all these
We're doing
these phrases?
Well,
Like,
you-
you know what? Jeff's not piddle dicking around. Let's do this.
No,
okay?
what he was doing was referencing old 90s
Yeah.
Fort Wayne bands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, piddle dicking might have been a...
Possibly. They were not touring with lollygaggers, I can say that.
My only experience behind a drum set was jazz band and pep band in school. I never actually got into like full on let's write and jam out with other musicians outside of school until like I graduated. So like learning the typical like Smoke on the Water and Tequila and those kind of things for pep band was the closest I came to rock.
I hated doing pep band as a bass player.
I loved it because, for me it was like, I gotta play some rock and roll, man. Even though it was like the 70s.
I got to play bass for the national anthem, and I think I had one other song because they pulled all the jazz band, and Snyder had like multiple jazz bands, so we had several bass players. So for pep band, which became a requirement, we all showed up for pep band, and you might get a song or two if you're lucky.
So you're hanging out a whole basketball game to play or football, yeah?
Yeah.
Nope.
Just like I got the national anthem, and I think I may have played one other song. When somebody else is getting like Another One Bites the Dust, I'm like, that's not fair.
Like 9th grade, and they're like, guess what? You're going to run sound for the lighting of the Christmas lights downtown. No worries. You've never done it before.
Oh.
This is how you're going to do it. Read this book.
Hey.
They make you climb the side of the wall to put
Yeah.
them up and
No, not the lights. To do
sound
like
for
the
run the sound.
Run the
PA.
sound. I had to
climb the
plug
side of the wall?
No, I had to help set up all the staging. I had to run all, and I'm in 9th grade.
Welcome to Stage Crew.
Yeah, it was like instantaneous.
He was part of
Trial by
stagehand,
fire, right
He was
there.
part of stagehand, but he was not welcome into the union yet.
That's no lie. It was pretty horrible for a while. But, I really got to give it, I want to say something about that because Mr. Anderson was our choir teacher, and he actually believed in me enough to let me do that. And, it was trial by fire, but, man, I did it, and I was good at it, and he believed in me, and I
just to
owe
make
him a lot.
just to
And
make
you
sure
be-
there
and
was
you
no
become-
Patreon at that time, right?
No, there was no
Okay.
Patreon.
And you become-
he was just my homie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You became one
Steve,
of
are you
the most
counting right
well-loved
now?
sound guys here in Fort
I
Wayne.
don't know about that, but at one specific place, because I was also running sound over at Peanuts too for a while. And nobody knew that I was even there for the longest.
But people love when you ran sound because you took care of your musicians.
That's a rule, man. If you're gonna be like a sound guy or production guy or whatever, be the version of that you would want to work with. That's just all it is.
Yes.
And-
Like we happen to have
yeah.
at
Thank
the
you,
last show
Alan.
that we played.
Oh.
Oh,
Dude,
Yes.
A+ staff, man.
A+
We talked about that
staff.
We talked about that last podcast. It was like 2009 all over again.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even on stage then. I just remember being a fan and knowing everybody. It was A+.
Yep.
Yeah.
The fact that I got to, hang and just shoot the crap with Adam.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. Because, little known fact, Adam was actually the first lead singer in my second band.
Yeah.
So
I used to play hacky sack with Adam in high school at lunch every day. That's how I knew Adam.
torrential downfall.
So I replaced Adam.
No, Adam ended up going to guitar only in his other band.
Yeah.
So
He dropped.
He dropped, and I ended up coming in.
yeah.
Oh, well, okay. Well, thank you, Adam.
No.
Yep.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, I used to play hacky sack with the guy. That was. It's like that's how I knew Adam.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure. I think I met him over coffee and cigarettes up at like the Denny's.
He ran PA for one of my other projects and was just in love with how like hassle-free we were. Because it's like, dude, whatever, cool. We got some stage volume. All right, cool. Let's go. We're ready to play. We're having a good time. Let's go.
He was a big fan of us at that show just because we're like Tails.
Yep. There you go.
When Steve says Tails, he really just kind of bent over and
Yeah.
Tails.
No, that's the chat influence. That was his hacky sack time.
I will say, if you really want to go back, like when I write with you guys now, it's kind of like I try to think about your sound before and like where we're going with it.
On Patreon?
Like, and I've talked about I've talked about it. Yeah, subscribe so I can buy a new cymbal. No,
Okay, that would be
the 18-inch Agazarian China.
Yes,
but I talk about that because to me, like, that's the sound that I want to try and go for because I'm not trying to totally derail this and be like, all right, I'm going to play drums my way, which is grunge. And we've talked about that with some of the songs. Like, we're not a grunge band, and I don't want to sound like a grunge drummer when I'm doing things with this.
Right.
So
I'm pretty grungy sometimes.
I will say
there was the song you were
Yeah.
Well,
you haven't heard what we did.
So I will say the recording. We didn't rewrite anything, but oh my god, it ain't grunge feeling.
No.
What? Mine?
Yeah, Show Me the Way.
Show
Me?
the way.
Me?
No, that just the whole song.
Me?
You will understand.
Oh.
You will see it.
Yeah.
So as of right now,
You will
bass,
show me the way?
keys, and vocals are yet to get in, and guitar is still finishing up.
Yeah, I will be finishing all of the guitar recording tomorrow.
As of this podcast
So
recording.
where are we at timetable wise? Where do you think people can be ready to get their if they're not subscribing to our Patreon, but they're going to buy our music? When can they be ready with the cash?
For the first EP out, the one that Jeff's actually working on and finishing up on, by the time this episode is out, we should be right on the brink of that entire EP
being out.
Yeah. Within a couple
and
weeks.
that's a free digital.
calendar math.
Yeah, it's a free digital because
do some calendar math. When
they
is that?
trusted me to do a bunch of weird stuff, and I've been listening to it so long I can't even tell if it's good anymore. Hopefully, you guys like it.
So far, every release I've enjoyed.
Yeah, so
Except for that one.
Yeah. So
I haven't got to that one yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
The EP that we were referring to is called Between Here and Now.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 songs have already dropped by the time this episode is out.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 additional songs still yet to be released off of that.
Yes.
That should be out by July. I don't have an exact date yet, but that should be fully out by July. The Find Yourself EP will be out in the end of August, right before our tour run starts.
Indeed.
What?
And speaking of
That
July,
sounds like a good tour title.
speaking
The
of
Find Yourself
July,
tour.
Yeah.
come out if you're in the area.
Yeah, July 9th.
July 9th, we are opening for Poet the band.
Poet, yeah.
We are also playing with CS Nautilus.
I understand CS
Yes.
Nautilus was in our city last night.
Yes.
Or nearby, and they had some issues. So if you enjoyed what they did and what they had to struggle through, come check it out at Stan's Room.
Give them a second chance.
July 9th. Yep. And they're from our region, right? South
Yeah,
Bend?
they're out of the South Bend area.
Okay, yeah. But July 9th, we'll be performing, so when you're listening to this, I'm sure you still have a little bit of time.
Yeah, and we also
We're all
got
like,
local homies.
We're ahead here. I don't know.
Yeah, we also got local homies on that show, too.
Moments after.
There you go.
Yes.
Yep.
Sorry, boys. It takes us a moment. There's
Took you a moment?
Took you a moment.
Was it after the moment
after
that you
the
finally
moment?
thought about it?
I mean, it's so close to seasons after, and I want to say that too.
Yeah, Seasons After has a
Moments
whole other
After.
connotation to
Yeah.
this band, too. So,
Yeah,
we'll fill
Moments
you in
After.
on that story later,
Oh,
too.
But
So,
Guys, if I'm not here next week, ask lots of questions. Lots of questions.
Yeah. So if he
I think what saves me is that you can't fire me. Do you know how hard it was for you to find me?
I mean, that's fair.
Ouch.
I'm just saying.
Man.
That's a little ego, I know, but
A little. All right, Chad.
Hey, don't even. You've already said there's no other bass player in Fort Wayne.
That's what I'm saying.
Not that I'm willing to work
Thank you,
with.
Fort Wayne, for not having a lot of
They could
serious
replace me
musicians,
with a really
percussion.
good computer. Nobody can afford one right now, and that's why.
You know what? Here's the thing. Everybody wants to be a singer. So
Yeah.
I'm easily replaced.
I mean, Fort Wayne is the karaoke capital.
It is.
Is it?
It is.
Really?
Yeah. There's like 9 different karaoke
Way more
companies.
karaoke opportunities than there's live music.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's why when anybody wants to do a show trade, I'm like, sorry, bro. It's either country, karaoke, or covers. Like, there's like 2 venues that will cover you guys.
Yeah, because we have another one, but that one is exclusive to locals only, and they've made that very clear.
Yeah.
Actually,
I know. We've had that conversation.
I might have an open door.
Woo! Yeah,
Oh,
you got an open door.
Chris has an
I
open
seriously had a
door.
conversation with that. Business relationships, run it like a business, and you gain the trust of the proprietor.
Yeah, that's true.
And we had a good conversation a couple weeks ago, and I have an open door to bring in touring bands.
Nice.
As
Good
long as the bar makes
conversations,
money, which is
open
obviously the
doors.
goal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I gotta make.
But being realistic,
we'll talk
yeah.
offline. But yeah,
But being realistic, if we're getting involved, we're not going to bring something in that is going to be detrimental to the venue.
Yeah, it's not going to be a show
Now the
trade. It's going to be like
Buck is starting.
maybe CS Nautilus guys.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're listening,
Yeah.
after July, I mean, we can put you in here like a Christmas show.
Yep. We'll figure it out.
Who knows?
But
So anyway,
I don't really know if there's much more to talk about in the realms of influence and everything like that.
I think we're good.
We've got
our
this big
time
clock
frame's
right
pretty
here.
good, and everybody make sure you check out our Patreon because our Patreon's amazing, and you got to make sure you keep track of the count of what we've been saying all night. Patreon.
Yeah.
I'm glad
And-
he got 3 and I got 5 in my sentence.
And I am going to
Patreon.
It's not,
Champion.
it's not the size of the sentence.
and
It's
and
not the
I,
size of the sentence. What?
And on that note,
I am so going to hate this editing.
I love
All
you
right.
guys.
No,
I'm
see,
so
you're gonna love the
sorry.
editing. It's the fact that you actually have to listen and count.
Yeah, I don't have to-
He's gonna he's got to listen twice. He's
It
got to
was-
listen to edit.
it was
and
his
then he's gotta
idea to do
listen
a
back.
giveaway
Yeah.
of some sort. So
And he's not allowed to be wrong
So
about
anyway,
the count.
the number of times you hear that platform mentioned
Thanks,
might
bud.
earn you.
A free early access to one of our new songs. It might be off of the Between Here and Now EP. It might be from the Find Yourself EP.
And the best part is you have to listen to us the entire
Yep.
time. It's
So-
going to be such a joy.
So now that we're at the end, you have to listen again, so you can go back and count.
yeah.
you'll count. Enjoy.
And what are we counting, boys, girls?
And
all
don't
other
worry,
people?
I'm going to make at least one of them also listen and tally it up, so that way it's not just me.
Oh no, it's going to be just you.
Oh no,
you created
we're
the
going to
challenge.
You created this.
guarantee
You
that
said
the
it.
number is correct.
You said that they had to count
We're
the
going
amount
to
of times we say
guarantee the
Patreon.
number is correct, and I'm going to have
use the word
somebody else.
guarantee. I hate the word guarantee. All right, anyway, with that, hey, we are Controller.
Yes,
Yes.
we're a controller. Thank you
Thank
for
you
transferring
for
this episode
sticking
out.
around.
Later, control freaks.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
All right.
Later. Thank you for listening to Actually Controller. If you liked what you heard, please consider following us on all our socials. You can easily find us on all the different platforms by going to linktree/controller33 or scan the QR code if you are watching the video version of this episode. Thank you.